human self presents to me many challenges that burden me. My heart center shines and calls to me. This is who I choose to be. Sometimes lessons.
Welcome to the Vibrational Alchemy Podcast. This is Penny Fisher, and we are so glad you are joining us for this week's episode. Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here this week. We are getting to talk about a topic that is near and dear to my heart with this idea of shitting on ourselves. We'll just leave it there for now. But I do want to check in with you before we dive into this week's topic. I want to see how things are going for you as you're allowing yourself to come into a place of more and more vulnerability, like we talked about last week. And I just want to honor you for taking this leap and for being willing to do this work, and to remind you that this can bring up some really deep stuff, right? It can trigger a lot of anxiety and fear. So just breathe. Know that you are not the anxiety and you are not the fear. These are just experiences that you're having, and the quickness with which they pass is in direct proportion to how much you hold on to them. So just notice them, breathe, and let them just ebb away. All right. Just honor yourself and honor where you are. And you've got this. All righty. So this idea of shooting on yourself. I'm sure that I am not the only one who does this all the time. We actually have a saying in our house, or a rule in our house, when we hear each other saying, "Oh man, I really should," we will very gently remind each other that if we think that we should do something, that pretty much it's something we need to let go of, right? Because this idea of the things that we should do very often are things that create real tension in our field, in our auric field, our biofield, kinks in the hose of abundance, right? And we really want to be aware of them and give ourselves permission to do some inquiry. And as always, and we'll talk about this a little more in a minute, this idea of shoulding is not something that's unique just in our self-talk, but also we find ourselves imposing our shoulds onto people around us, right? And we did the episode, oh gosh, it was quite a while ago, on releasing judgment. And there was another one called releasing restrictions. And it all has to do with the same idea of just being mindful about the things that we're asking other people to do, or that we think other people should do, right? And here's the thing. As always, have some space and grace for yourself, because we get the shoulds from all kinds of places and people and experiences and structures throughout our lifetimes, right? We are deeply acculturated into the energy of should. In many healing modalities, the shoulders, and think about the beginning of that word, shoulder. If you take the ER off of the end, you have the word should. So our shoulders very much hold the energy of shoulds. Very often, shoulders are places where we carry a sense of guilt, a sense of blame, a sense of shame. And very often, at least clients that I've worked with and my own work that I've done, I find that this sense of should comes from a place of feeling responsible as a result of our family dynamic. Okay. Maybe when you were, um, maybe when you were younger, there was something going on in your family and you felt you should take care of other people, right? Maybe something was happening emotionally to people, or maybe there were fiscal issues, and you felt even as a little one that you should be taking care of them. I actually have a client who has shared with me that in her life she can vividly remember at age 5 worrying about whether or not there would be food for her family. And it was legitimate concern. So she grew up in a world where she chose to believe that she should have the resources to take care of her family. And she's made good on that, right? She firmly believes that she should be able to earn enough of an income. She's gone the way of the entrepreneur. She's an amazing person, beautiful, beautiful being. And what she has accomplished in her life at her age is just unbelievable. But that's a lot of should, right? That's a lot of weight to carry on the shoulders. So we'll very often get things from our family structures. Those of us, me included, who grew up inside the structure of organized religion, got a lot of shoulds, right? We get the shoulds of we should put other people before ourselves. We should stay tethered to the sense of unworthiness, right? Think about these ideas of original sin. We should have to engage in certain rituals or show up for certain events, right? Like I should be in church on Sunday. I should be in shul on Friday. Because if we do this, it proves that we're willing to be forgiven, to be absolved, right? It reinforces that idea of unworthiness. And as I'm talking with you, I want to make sure that you know, I'm going to pause a minute here, that there are actually two shoulds that I will embrace when they come up for me. The first should is that I should make wise choices in terms of what I choose to put into my body. And the second should is that I need to move my body and exercise and take care of myself. Okay. And so that leads me to wonder with you, how do I know when the the shoulds are something that's good for me, or the shoulds are something that are out of alignment with my journey to remembering who I am, my life path of remembering that I am an aspect of God's source creator, all that is, that I am love, that I am light, that my innate blueprint is loving perfection, right? How do I know which one is which? And as I was getting ready to share this with you, it occurred to me that one of the keys for this is going to lie in this idea of root cause. I believe that unhealthy shoulds come out of what we call limiting beliefs, right? Beliefs that keep us small. They come from old wounds. They come from identities that have been imposed on us by other people, right? So if we were to put all of those under one umbrella, we might talk about traumas. And we've talked about this before. Traumas don't have to be big, horrendous things. It can be wounding that happens, emotional wounding that happens in any moment, even though the rest of the world doesn't see it as something traumatic. All right. I can have been teased by siblings when I was younger. Actually, I grew up in a house, again, a very loving childhood, very loving house. But there was a lot of teasing that went on. And it was normalized in my house by um, my parents saying, well, we wouldn't tease you if we didn't love you. So like I had to be okay with it, right, in order to be loved. But some of it was really hurtful. So that was an identity that I had to develop of, oh, I'm loved because people are saying like kind of mean things about me, right? Once these shoulds get a hold of us, their, what do I want to call it? Their energetic vibration in our biofield, our auric fields, and in our bodies, and in our emotions, and in our thoughts creates, and we talked about this at the top of the episode, creates this snag in the flow of our energetic uh, fields, right? So if we think of our fields as this free flow of energy, and it's able to receive things from outside of us that we need to live a life of balance and ease, to learn our lessons with ease and grace. If we think of that as a hose, the shoulds take that hose and twist it. So now that energy can't flow toward us or through our fields in an unobstructed way. And that's ultimately what causes discomfort, dis-ease, anxiety, grief, fear, anger, all of these things. And I have found, again, both in my own work and in working with clients, that the most typical root cause of this fear comes from this unbelievable fear of not being loved. Right? As children, what we crave more than anything is to be loved. And the fear around not being loved can take many, many forms, right? Um, it can be, I'm not good enough. I'm letting my parents down. I am not smart enough. I'm not talented enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not meeting their expectations. That was a big one for me, right? I'm worried about what other people will think about me. I'll tell you a story about that one in a minute. I'm worried about what other people will think about me. I'm worried that I won't be liked. I'm worried that I'm going to be left out. I'm worried about what other people are going to say about me when I'm not in the room, right? These are all places where we are terrified that we are not going to be loved. And I would encourage you, whether you pause this episode now or do it at the end, I would really encourage you to grab a piece of paper and something to write with, and maybe on the left-hand side of the page, start a list of all of the places in your life that you are afraid of not being loved. I won't be loved because, right? I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. Some of this can come from childhood wounding. Some of it you'll find in your current life because those childhood wounds have a resonance, have a vibration, and they'll keep flowing through our lives until we look at those wounds and release the charge on them. But don't just stop with the list of why you're afraid. On the other side of the page, or however it works for you, start to list the reasons why. Like, where did that come from? right? So simple example, I was a kid for whom many things came easy. And so I developed this identity of being good at everything. And whether this was imposed on me by my parents or I just decided that this was truth, I really have believed for most of my life that if I didn't do things perfectly, or if I, and I'm going to air quote when I say failed at something, right? Because I don't believe that we fail at anything, but if I failed at something, I wasn't good enough. I didn't get it right the first time. I wasn't the best at something. I believed that diminished my worth, and I believed I wouldn't be loved. And that drove me through most of my life. Ooh, such a relief to be done with that. But that might be an interesting exercise to do for yourself, to just kind of get a sense of what's going on for you and where are some of those places. Because when we start to recognize it, it's like peeling away this veil. It's like pulling away this layer, clearing the smoke, and it lets us see behind the veil of illusion. And I use that word illusion very deliberately because it is an illusion. It's an illusion that you cannot be loved. It's just not true. And the reason is because it has nothing to do with what everybody else thinks of us. When we go down that path, we give people our power. We give them control over us. Oh my gosh, think about it. When I'm so worried about what you think of me, then I modify my behavior so that you will think well of me, you'll invite me to your parties, you'll give me the promotion. Whatever love looks like in our brains, that's what we go for in our day-to-day behaviors. The way we take that back is we look inside ourselves and we say, okay, where do I believe that about myself? I can only give someone the power over me if I believe that I am unworthy, that I am not smart enough, that I don't deserve the promotion, that I am less than lovable if I am not smart, am not pretty, am not good at sport, whatever it is, right? Do you see it? That is the place where we can look within ourselves and say, oh, there it is. I'm shooting on myself again. Huh, that's really interesting because that should is going to tell me where I can love myself more. Right? We go into those places of root cause and we find those places within ourselves, that inner child. Listen, darlings, I know inner child work has been done to death. The eye rolls when you say inner child now are just almost automatic. But I'm telling you, this is where so much of the wounding comes from. So we find that inner child and we hug her or him or them. And we remind those beautiful beings that they've done nothing wrong and they're loved and they're love. Right? How do I sign off with you every week? How do I sign off every day when I do my gratitude posts and my inspirational quotes on TikTok and Insta and Facebook, right? You are loved and you are loved. And we just have to remind ourselves of that over and over and over again until we rewire those neural pathways to come into alignment with the truth of that. My sweetie pies, there is no place, there is no vibrational resonance within you that is the truth of being unloved. It doesn't exist. Your only vibrational truth is that you are loved. You're not just loved, you're pure love. So you don't need it to come at you from the outside. And then people can say what they want, think what they want, and you'll just look at them and send them love. Because what do you know about them? From a place of non-judgment, you know that their judgment of you comes from a place where they don't love themselves enough. That's great. How do we break the cycle, right? How do we stop shitting on ourselves? And I think, kind of like the list I invited you to play with, I think the first thing is to get curious. When we find ourselves in that place of doing something we think we should, we want to ask ourselves why. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired, but it's the end of the night. I really should do all these dishes. Huh, Penny, why? Because you think your partner's going to be upset with you? That is not a reason to do the dishes. Because you like a clean kitchen in the morning? Okay, then that's not should. That's I want to do the dishes so that I have a clean house in the morning. Do you hear the difference? Okay. If the answer to why do I think I should do something, if the answer is because I'm afraid that something unpleasant is going to happen, somebody's going to get angry with me, I'm going to be in trouble, this is just the way the world works and it's expected of me, I would invite you to recognize that that's an old wound and just breathe. Drop into your heart space. Allow the emotions to come. Just sit with them. If you need to feel angry or sad or confused or frustrated, let it come. Feel it, let it come. Let it rise up and crest like a wave. And then allow it to just ebb away. And then bring the breath into your heart and simply ask yourself, what is this here to teach me? And how can I infuse it with love? And once you get into that sacred heart space, you have access to the cosmic matrix. And if you haven't listened to the first few episodes of this podcast series, the cosmic matrix is this river of energy that flows from the loving heart of Divine Mother, of the cosmic heart. It is energy that is love without condition. It holds the infinite power of love. It holds unbridled wisdom that is grounded in love. And as you sit in your heart space, you can invite it in, or you can ask to be taken through the portal, and you can simply ride the flow of that current and allow that beautiful love and light of unconditional love to infuse you. Every cell, every particle of your being, your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. Allow the light of the cosmic matrix to cleanse and clear you. And just rest there. Because my beautiful, beautiful souls, you have permission to stop shitting on yourself. Here is your truth. Living life on your terms, living life in a way that brings you joy, that feeds your soul, that leads you over and over and over again back to this place of self-love, regardless of what anybody else says or tells you you should be doing. Living your life that way, my darlings, is your birthright. It is in alignment with your divine blueprint of perfection. It is in alignment with the choice, the knowing, the absolute unequivocal reality of who you are. And that reality allows energy to flow freely throughout your field, giving you access to everything that you need in order to navigate your life with balance and ease. The energy of should that is grounded in fear, I'm sorry, it is just not worth your time or your energy. It's just not. You're too important. You're too beautiful. You are too filled with love. And this will probably not shift in a nanosecond. Maybe it will for you. If it doesn't, don't sweat it. Just keep practicing. Think about how long it took you to become so acculturated to shitting on yourself. And give yourself the gift of time on the other end to allow those tendrils of judgment towards yourself to just start to dissolve. I promise you, little by little, bit by bit, you're going to start to feel better about yourself. It's going to feel like, what did my mom used to say? Like the weight of the, perfect. It's going to feel like the weight of the world is off your shoulders because you are no longer carrying the weight of other people's judgment because you're not judging yourself anymore. It just is gone. Because you are stepping into that place of deep and abiding love for yourself. All of the shame, all of the guilt, all of the grief and frustration that have been generated by generations of shoulds throughout this and probably many lifetimes will just be released. You will remember that you are nothing less than divine perfection. You'll shed stories, you'll shed identities, you'll find wounds, and you'll fill them with love. You'll see the places where the ego has been complicit with all of these structures that have taught you that you're not good enough. And you'll hug your little ego and you'll thank it for trying to keep you safe all these years. And you'll very gently say, I've got this. Why don't you just take a little bit of a rest and relax? How beautiful will it be to be free of the shoulds so that you can live in the truth, in the reality of unconditional love for you. Because it's who you are. It is how Source sees you as a beautiful being, filled with love, filled with light, divine and perfect in every way. And you know it is my sincere and deep wish that you would see yourselves the same way, because it's your truth. I am so grateful to each of you for joining me. I am Penny Starhart, and this has been the Vibrational Alchemy Podcast. Until we are together again, remember that you are loved and you are loved.
This is who I choose to be. This is who I choose to be.